Moving on to the Soviets now, and we're starting out with the 120mm mortar. I did have to disable my green screen, by the way. It's getting quite dark and wasn't functioning correctly. So we have a big change to the reload time. It's going way down. It's going to fire much more quickly when the 120 is barraging. The V1 flares are being replaced by delayed fuse rounds. These will always penetrate vehicles and deal more direct damage to targets, making them ideal against fortified positions but ineffective against mobile infantry. 3-second detonation fuse upon landing, 35 munitions cost. So if these are similar to the ones that the Mortar half-track has for US forces, they were like guaranteed to kill a bunker. Maybe I think it was about a third of a tech truck. Taking a look at the revised 120mm mortar here, and first thing you notice is it's actually got like a couple lines similar to maybe like the infantry support gun, indicating where it can actually fire, which is actually kind of nice on the mortar teams, because sometimes you don't even know. Like maybe you do a different barrage, like maybe your barrage here instead of here, if you knew that if you barraged here your mortar would have to pack up, spin around, there'd be a delay before you started firing. So interesting, that change to the mortar, which I think overall doesn't improve how you would use them. Not the case though. I've got the other Soviet mortar, the regular one here, that doesn't have that same change. Going to try out the delayed fuse here. First off on a upgraded MG bunker. Close to max range, not quite at max range though. About 10 range short of the max. But this is probably about the range you'd be trying to utilize it at anyway. Give or take. Okay, well there's a bug with its sound. Okay, so with that scatter, not guaranteed to kill the bunker. I wanted to do this, the fog of war, on to try and, mimic real scenario. And yeah. So that last shell looked like it was pretty much a direct hit. Maybe it would have taken some AoE damage from this one as well. It looks like maybe like half health with one shell off a bunker. But yeah, with that scatter, not guaranteed to kill bunker. And yeah, as I said, that was not even at fully max range there. Now trying out the delayed fuse against OKW tech truck. This pretty much is at max range this time. Yeah, so that's trash. I mean, the scatter barely did any damage. It's supposed to be used against like fortified positions. Scatters too much, damage be too low. But yeah, that's not good. Have a look at the regular barrage here. Apparently that's also got a reload time buff. So yeah, I mean this just looks even worse now in comparison to the regular barrage, right? You pay 30 munitions, you got garbage back. This did like more damage and it's free. I suppose this maybe came down slightly faster, but yeah, I mean that V1 ability is no good. But yeah, the revised barrage, I think it is coming through a bit faster there. New ability here, the 152mm Howitzer strike. Drops 12 artillery shells onto the target area. These shells are the same as the one used by the ML20 Howitzer. Requires line of sight to use. Pretty cheap though at 150 munitions. Taking a look at the new Soviet ability here, the 152mm artillery strike. 150 munitions, going to target here on the Howitzer. Smack in the center. These guys were pretty close to the edge of the targeting zone, so we'll see how it goes here. It does have a cooldown, I've just got speed ups on. In case you're getting confused about that. Okay, so there's a fair amount of scatter on that. I'm told that this is not guaranteed to kill a howitzer. Maybe it's like about 80% chance to. But yeah, the shells themselves are pretty strong. Reasonably, like not a super quick cooldown time though. Like a reasonably long delay. Maybe a little bit faster than time on target. But not by a huge amount. So got a pretty good time to dodge this. And yeah, there's quite a lot of scatter to these shells as well. But overall, it does seem pretty decent. Advanced fortifications, this is in the defensive commander. You can build tank traps, and now you're going to be able to build bunkers as well. This defensive structure uses the Soviet base MG nest model, which has similar stats to the Aussie bunker, and can be upgraded with a Dishka heavy machine gun for 60 munitions, which has the same stats as the US Forces 50 cal from the fighting pit. So there we go. I know quite a few people have been requesting bunkers for Soviets, and now you can get it by playing the defensive commander. I wanted to show you guys the bunkers available from advanced fortifications, but doesn't appear to be in either of the build menus here for the combat engineers. So yeah, unfortunately, can't show you guys the new bunkers. Airborne guards are having their assault package adjusted to offer a different playstyle and to be viable compared to the LMG upgrade. The changes reinforce their role as ambushers with a large number of abilities to aid them in combat. So they're getting their tactical assault removed. That was like the really strong running and gunning move, good for wiping units on retreat. It's getting replaced with camouflage when stationary and a plus 25% ambush bonus when upgraded with the assault package. Fire superiority is going down by 5 munitions. Personally, I feel like maybe this is not that strong. Stationary camo, whereas like commandos have moving camo, really limits the effectiveness of this, I feel, and especially like with airborne guards 6 models. Sometimes it can be tricky finding good camouflage for 6 models, so I'm not too sure about this change overall. Armored vehicle detection, this is the one in shock motor heavy, has received a major change to promote its use by allowing tank guns to track vehicles for a short period of time, kind of similar to hammer tracking while active. So this will be really good on like your Su-85 or try and chase down a retreating tank. You won't have to activate the focus sight mode, get that movement debuff. Here we are, use a similar thing to hammer tracking and chase them down a bit more easily. So that's pretty nice and could also be pretty strong on the ISU-152 in that commander on armor-piercing rounds. Cost is going down from 60 to 45 munitions, but the recharge time is going up from 60 seconds to 90. So taking a look at the revised armored vehicle detection here, first we'll just run through the basics of infantry detecting tanks. I believe it works out to, how far is that? 90 range? 60, 70, 80, yeah, about 90 range. On that, conscripts can detect, but I believe combat engineers cannot. I've got a couple more troops here. So yeah, combat engineers can't use this. What about shock troops?
All enemy vehicles located. We have orders to move.
Okay, shock troops can.
Let's go, comrades.
What about penals? Penals can as well. So it just appears that combat engineers can't, and that, you know, maybe you can guess that by the fact that they don't have a eyeball spinning around above their heads, but yeah, they probably should be able to since it says infantry. Alright, now we're going to try out the detection. Missed it. Tank right there, going to try attack ground it. Okay, so attack grounding while this is active. I think you saw that it got a rear armor hit there, so it's definitely doing damage. I think it's done damage like 3 times now, maybe even as well. Yeah. So that's interesting. the tracking doesn't seem to trigger off an attack round shot like that. I wonder if it's just like all scatter shots it doesn't trigger off. Okay, so we've got focus sight mode on. Shooting away at this. I think I have to penetrate for it to detect. So now disable it. And then it disappears into the fog before the SU-85 can even shoot at it again. So it makes me wonder if this is maybe not even working correctly. Because it didn't work on the scatter shots. And that target disappeared before another shot could even come through. And I think the hammer tracking is based on the reload time of the Firefly, which is quite a lot slower than the SU-85. So yeah, I don't know. It feels like maybe that is not working correctly on tanks, or at least the SU-85. Assault guards have received a big rework here. This is in Lend-Lease and now in anti-infantry tactics. They're being adjusted, so you no longer need to call them in alongside the M5. Kind of similar to a lot of call-ins, like the LMG Grenadier bundle. Kind of trying to split them up, make them a little bit more accessible, especially now that the M5 is available a little bit earlier with the Tier 3 cost readjustment not too long ago. So now they're going down from 510 manpower and 30 fuel to just 300 manpower to call them in. So not too much more than a penal squad. Command point requirement is also going down to 2 command points. Kind of similar timing to other squads at this power level. The pop cap cost is actually going up from 8 to 9. The target size is going down ever so slightly, so they're going to be a little bit more resilient against small arms fire. Unit now comes in as a 6-man unit with SVTs. So they're going to be very similar overall in strength to penal troops, ever so slightly stronger, because I think penal troops have a target size of 1. These guys are 0.97, but yeah, pretty, very close to penal troops in terms of firepower. Pretty upgrade. But you can upgrade them with 3 Thompson SMGs for 70 munitions, or 2 elite bazookas for 100. RGD 33 grenades. Okay, so they're getting a grenade with grenade assault. Ability is similar to the Assault Grenadier Grenade Assault ability. Vet 1 Tripwire Flare is getting replaced with self-healing while out of combat. And Vet 2 now adds minus 20% reload to the squad. That will be really helpful if you decide to upgrade them with the Elite Bazookas. Though, you know, the Elite Bazookas on paratroopers and recon support don't really see very much use. And they have the ability to plant mines on a faction that is starved for mines. And they have camouflage that can help you get an ambush off. So I'm not too sure if many players are really going to use the Elite Bazooka upgrade on these assault guards. Alright, taking a look at the revised assault guards here. Currently the ability is bugged in the game, but you can deploy them in cheat commands mode with the M5 half-track transport. This is the one that, you know, the ability was initially based off. So you can get them from there and then upgrade them, which is what I've done here. They appear to be the same ones because, you know, they have the grenade volley now. And they also had the bazooka upgrade as well. You can see that. But jump out, there we go. Bazooka, and this is also maybe miscosted by 5 munitions. But anyway, we're going to have them fight toe-to-toe here against some STG folks at Vet 1. This is maybe an engagement you'd expect to be running into. And is relevant to have these TG folks at Vet 1 because they do get a slight received accuracy bonus at Vet 1, whereas most other squads get a utility bonus at Vet 1. So this is maybe a common matchup you'll see. So here we go, Guards versus Fox Grenadiers close range. Very convincing win there. Right across the board, so that is, yeah, they've got some really good DPS on them. So now we're going to charge the assault guards into some LNG Grenadiers behind heavy cover, see how they go. So yeah, as expected, the assault guards do win this one, but it doesn't look like it's too horrible for the LMG Grenadiers. Looks like you might be able to drop like maybe 2 models on approach and then just hit retreat once they get into close range, maybe without even losing a model yourself. So yeah, okay. And now repeating that, but both squads at Vet 3, see how it changes. Pretty similar overall in terms of models remaining. Did look like the guards were maybe like noticeably more resilient on the approach, maybe? Not entirely sure about that, but okay, yeah, they can bully away some Grenadiers behind heavy cover for sure. And now close range up against some Panzer Grenadiers here. I'm expecting the guards to win this one. Interesting to see by how much though. Yeah, pretty comfortable margin, you know, with 6 models. It's quite a few models to get through, honestly. And now the assault guards are going to charge in over open ground into the Panzer Grenadiers close range, see how that goes. Would expect the Panzer Grenadiers to win this one. We'll have to wait and see. No. So yeah, they end up winning, charging in over open ground against Panzer Grenadiers. So they, yeah, they're pretty strong, these assault guards. And now assault guards versus Panzer Grenadiers long range. I am expecting the assault guards to be like pretty reasonable at the start of the engagement, at least, because you know they've still got 3 SVTs at the start of the fight. Remember, the assault guards do cost 9 to the Panzer Grenadiers 8 in terms of pop cap. Though Panzer Grenadiers do cost more in terms of manpower, right? 340 versus 300. At least you don't have to spend munitions, so it'll be interesting to see how this one shakes out. What? Okay, we're gonna have to ignore that. What? 2? Okay, well, I made a bit of a muck up on this one. Put 2 of those squads into cover there. Back to the action. So at the moment, seems to be a pretty even fight. And now the assault guards dropping models. Now they'll favour the Thompsons over the SVT, so I imagine their long range DPS is going to fall off a cliff after this. So yeah, it looks like the Panzer Grenadiers are favoured long range, and especially once the SVT models drop off. The assault guards just can barely even scratch the Panzer Grenadiers at this range. Now we're going to take a look at the grenade assault volley. 30 munitions here. What's the range? What's that? 10, maybe 15, 20 range. Throw it right in the middle of this formation. See how it goes. So yeah, very similar to other assault grenades, basically. The B4 is receiving a pretty big rework here. The damage has been reduced in exchange for being able to fire more shells into the target area. This will make the unit more effective at barraging defensive lines and less reliant on the RNG of 1 shell. The shells fired is going up from 1 to 3. The shells damage, though, is going down to 300, which is kind of interesting. Because now, even if like 2 shots land directly on a tank, or most medium tanks at least, they won't get the B4 won't get the kill. So going to be quite a lot worse at just killing tanks. The AoE is receiving a pretty big rework here. Okay, so higher multiplier for mid and far. And the far is getting multiplied by 3 and the damage is getting halved. So the far at the very edges of the shell should be doing a little bit more damage. But the mid range is also going down a bit. So yeah, on the very edges, it might even be a little bit more damaging, but towards the center, it's going to be far less damaging. And the recharge timer on that is also going up from 60 seconds to 80. Here we are looking at the revised B4. Got a very common position on this particular map. Going to fire it slightly onto their side. So maybe an engagement range that you could expect in a 1v1 match. Fire it into the center here. Got a good carpet down a Fox Street. There's a couple of tanks as well. See how it goes. Do have the fog wall off so we can see the damages. Going to tighten up the scatter, but you know, in this commander you also have the recon plane, so having sight not unheard of. First shell looking pretty decent. 2 kills. A lot of AoE damage. So there's a pretty long delay between the shells landing. But overall, the scatter there was pretty tight. All 3 shells landing within this area. A lot of veterancy from that as well now. Try this one again. Double check the scatter. Go have speed ups on, which is why I'm firing instantly. It's getting a little bit more wayward. It's carrying along that time. There's some pretty good damage onto the infantry squad. So yeah, the delay between shells is quite long compared to other howitzers. Seems to have better AoE. But, yeah, alright. The scatter is okay, you know, if you got the fog off. Which you could do with this commander with the recon plane, but... yeah, damage against tanks, not incredible. Try this one last time. So I'm targeting this Panzer IV. A little bit closer range as well, slightly. Pretty good damage, even though it landed on the building onto this whole squad here. So yeah, the scatter seems reasonable. I don't know if that was changed. The far AoE damage, you know, like a squad that's standing somewhat close to the shell, is going to take a lot of health damage, but in terms of model drops on the first shell, it doesn't look like it's going to do too much. Also heard the direct fire ability on this might be bugged. Yeah, okay, so that's going to need to be fixed. Not only did it like vastly miss, but let's get it across the map. Alright, so that's a look at the revised B4. Like, decent AoE on the shells, but the killing power on them, like, is not super good. Like, doesn't seem super likely to wipe models on infantry squads that are nearby. And quite a lot of delay between the shells. I think honestly I might prefer the ML20 over this. Commissar is getting some changes to its fear propaganda artillery. The Conscript Assault Package are gaining an extra submachine gun to their PPSh 41 upgrade to reinforce their role as cheap close quarter combat troops rather than having a mix of equal rifles and SMGs, now adds a fourth PPSh 41. You guys know I'm a big fan of PPSh Conscripts, but I actually have basically like nothing to do with this change. Alright, having a go with the new PPSh Conscripts, 4 PPShs, so I'm going to be oorahing them into cover up against some Volksgrenadiers. Going to do this 3 times. Let's see the engagement start. Hoorah. Once I start firing, I'll hoorah him. We'll watch this one in detail. So I might drop like 1-2 models on approach. And narrow victory there to the Volksgrenadiers. So it looks like the conscripts are favoured, kind of depends on model drops, a bit of RNG. Now we're going to do the same, but both the squads fully vetted. This used to be like where conscripts will get really, really strong at Vet 3, though their Vet 3 bonus did get reduced somewhat. So yeah, that is a much, much more convincing win for the conscripts once they're fully vetted up versus fully vetted up Volksgrenadiers. Kind of same as before. And now fully vetted conscripts up against Vet 2 Obers. This is when they get their big accuracy bonus power spike. A bit late on the hoorah there. Whoops. Obers out in the open this occasion, giving the conscripts a bit more of a chance. That one kind of looked like it was bugged out for a while there. Conscripts win. Late activating it again there. There we go.
Additional resources are now available to your commander.
So yeah, up against Vet 2 Obers, you know, if you hoorah at a closer distance, looks like you're favoured to win. Which is pretty interesting. Can come down a lot down to RNG as always. But yeah, they a decent option up against out in the open Obers. You know, I personally quite liked PPSh Conscripts against Jaegerlight Infantry because, you know, you got the hoorah at closer distance. Doesn't really matter if you drop models on the way in too much because you still then got the firepower from the PPSHs once you've finished closing the distance. You know, relatively cheap to reinforce. That was one of my favourite ones. I saw some Jaegerlights get the PPSHs and I found that they were quite good. But yeah, it looks like the PPSH Conscript's going to match up pretty well, especially, you know, maybe in the early stages before the vet comes on. STG Fox are going to be able to perform pretty well, or decently against them at least. But yeah, late game, once they're fully vetted up, they're going to be able to beat the Fox. And yeah, even stand a pretty good chance up against Obers out in the open. Now PPSH Conscripts against Assault Grenadiers close range. Previously the edge was to Assault Grenadiers.
ultimate sacrifice.
So they won 5 out of 6 on that occasion. That's a little bit worrying that the conscripts are going to perform so well against assault grenadiers like that. And then both of them fully vetted at the end game. Also the assault greens with the 6th man, the extra upgrade that they get once you get Battle Phase 2. So the extra model there seemed to make a very, very big difference. And this time, assault grenadiers winning quite comfortably. So it's an interesting dynamic. PPSh is, you know, stronger extra model in the early game, as well as they should be probably better long range, right? Because they still have 2 Mosins. But then at the very end game, the assault grenadiers fully upgraded beat the PPShs. So yeah, interesting dynamic with these 2 units. The conscript repair package is getting renamed and adjusted to allow penals to also repair vehicles. This should make the commander ability more useful for both penal builds and conscript builds. So renamed to infantry repair package, and penals can also now repair vehicles. Fear propaganda has been adjusted to make the start of the ability more reliable with a guaranteed chance of a slow. So now has warning smoke. First shell of fear propaganda now automatically slows units and causes a plus 25% received accuracy rather than a random chance for an effect. Debuff duration from 30 to 15 seconds. Fear propaganda now also adds a received accuracy debuff of plus 25% when it slows infantry. So if you look at the current version of fear propaganda, just like a random chance of all sorts of stuff going on a shell per shell basis. Probably the strongest one, of course. Chance of a squad or whatever getting forced to retreat. Shell by shell basis though, so you know sometimes the fear propaganda you could just roll bad and nothing would happen on the first couple shells. So now it's going to be a little bit more reliable right at the start. You're guaranteed going to get that slow off and the debuff. So overall a little bit more reliable now with the fear propaganda. Taking a look at the fear propaganda artillery here. I'm going to switch these guys all over to the enemies. Put these guys as invulnerable. You see the targeting zone there. See how it goes against all these. We're ready to like target a squad after the first shell. Did the first shell come down like dead smack in the center? Try this one again. Right on this one. So I want to see if this squad gets that slow crit. So it looks like I guess they did. So yeah, it looks like the first shell comes down exactly where you first shell of leaflets come down exactly where you call it, and then the other shells kind of like scatter in the targeting circle. So yeah, still quite a lot of RNG, but exactly where you target them should be reasonable. Just trying to check what the delay is. It's like a relatively short delay between this activating and this coming down, so that's kind of interesting. For Mother Russia, it's called For the Motherland here, accidentally I think. It's getting changed similar to the other infantry global buffs. The weapon accuracy on infantry squads is going down from plus 50% to 15%, and you're getting some received accuracy in return. You know, compared to other abilities, this does also have some other effects. Team weapons still have plus 50% accuracy, and AT guns and howitzers also have accuracy. Not that I don't think it matters. Then maybe it matters for the AT guns. So compared to some of the other buffs, you know, it does still have some other effects working, but yeah, pretty big nerf here. IL-2 Rocket Run, this is the one in the Soviet Airborne Commander. It's receiving a pretty big nerf here to its penetration, going down from 340 to 80. Mentions here the aim is to try and get players to target the rear armor of the big heavy tanks that are, you know, less mobile, have a harder time of dodging this. So we'll have to see how this goes in testing. I'm trying to remember if this has deflection damage or not. I think it does. But yeah, we'll see in testing. Alright, taking a look at the revised rocket run here. Can do it on the frontal arm of the Tiger here. Try to cast the ability right on the center of it.
Airstrike has been authorized.
Coming in from this direction, frontal armor. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so it looks like the first two were short of the target, but then two did end up connecting for a little bit under half health worth of damage there. Try this one in the rear armor.
Strike in progress.
Probably should have done them coming in from the opposite direction, right? Would have been a tiny bit faster. So one rocket this time scattering super far ends up doing basically the exact same damage. In fact, looks like it was slightly more on this occasion. Alright, let's try this one again. Looks like I need to target it, so I'll target like the edge where the point clicks rather than in the center. Looks like I need to take it a bit to the side. Slightly better connection that time. Gets it to about, well, you can see, 425, so a bit over half health gone. Get that once again on the back of the tank a little bit.
Airstrike has been authorized.
This one on the frontal armor. This one 700. This is 425. About 275 more damage by hitting the rear compared to the front on Tiger. That one more time. Think of science. This time I'm going to go even further. Go to like this point here.
Strike in progress.
That was better connection again. .344. So from one rocket pass, that was like basically perfect targeting, I would guess. About 700 damage there.
Target confirmed.
Worse rocket targeting that time. 650. So yeah, I mean, it stands to reason that if you hit the rear armor on a big boy with large armor, such as the Tiger, you're going to do a significant amount of damage more, maybe close to 300 damage more with a really good connection here. So yeah, definitely pays now after this big nerf to try and aim for the rear armor on the big boys. IL-2 Sturmovik strafing run. This is one of the Advanced Warfare Commander. I think it's also replacing the IL-2 Loiter and Guard Rifle combined arms. It's getting adjusted here to be not complete absolute garbage. Now strafes the target zone rather than units within. Deals consistent damage throughout the radius. So damage is going down from 20 to 5, but getting some AoE value added. No damage drop off. Cost from 90 to 110 munitions. Taking a look at the new IL-2 Sturmovik strafing run here. 110 munitions. this nice line of Volksgrenadiers here. See how it goes against them.
Sturmovik target confirmed.
And important to note this unlocks at 10 command points, whereas the US Forces one unlocks at 6. Okay, so that can do some pretty good damage there. See how it goes against a tank. I'm not sure if there are any differences between these two. Personally, I unfortunately don't know that. Alright, now let's Sturmovik up against a tank, Panzer IV frontal armor here. Didn't get very many connections there, but it doesn't look like it's going to be terribly strong. Let's try the US Strafe against a Panzer IV. Last one against the other tank again.
Sturmovik strike in progress.
Pride of the Red Army Air Force.
Maybe the Soviet one's a tiny bit more damaging. Interesting. Oh, like either way, it seems pretty effective against a line of infantry like that. The IS-2, like other heavy tanks, is seeing its command point requirement reduced. Furthermore, its experience requirements are being lowered to be closer to the veterancy requirements of other heavy tanks. So the vet requirements, I believe, are getting reduced by 10% or thereabouts. I think for comparison, the Tiger is like around 3,000. So it's still a little bit harder to vet up compared to a Tiger. KV-1 heavy tanks, receiving a couple changes here. Its damage reduction bonus is getting removed, but then to compensate for that, it's getting quite a lot more health. So this has the effect of, if it takes damage, now it's going to take a regular amount of time to repair. You don't kind of get that repair speed bonus of having the lower health with the damage reduction combo. And the pop cap is also going up from 14 to 16, bringing it more in line with things like Churchill's. Also, the hull down damage reduction is going down or up slightly down, I guess. It's being made worse to 0.85, but the goal here, as mentioned here, change to hull down ensures that the KV-1 will still require 8 shots to be killed off by most anti-tank guns, I guess it means here. So yeah, apparently with the health change and with the 0.8, it would have taken an extra shot to die. So the goal here is to keep the same number of shots to kill when using the hull down stacked up with the new health bonus. So a bit of a nerf here to the KV-1, but has been performing very, very well since it got the same hull machine gun as the T-34. The Dishka and Lend-Lease is getting replaced by the US Forces 50 cal. I'm a little bit sad about this change myself. The ML-20 Howitzer is getting buffed here. To give the ML-20 some utility, the unit is receiving a creeping smoke barrage that will not share a cooldown with the main barrage. This will give Soviet players the ability to block line of sight from a long range and give the ML-20 some use when the primary barrage is on cooldown. So the Vet 1 ability is getting changed to a creeping smoke barrage, and you're getting that +1 shell in stock. You're not just like straight up losing it. So the ML-20 getting buffed here is getting removed from a couple commanders though, so going to be a little bit less common. And I think, somebody did like an analysis comparing the ML-20 to the LFH, and the LFH was quite a bit better, so maybe this will even things out by getting the extra shell in stock. Having a look at the new ML-20 Vet 1 ability, the creeping smoke barrage doesn't cost any munitions here. Going to fire this off. See how it goes. Got a squad here. Provides for some sights, see kind of what kind of blockage and what kind of smoke coverage it gives us. Oh, I've got speed ups on, so in case you're wondering about the cooldown. Just one again.
We have orders.
1, The shells do have a reasonably long way to travel, so it's not like you can just do this crazy panic smoke or anything, but you know, being able to range this like anywhere on the map will be pretty damn handy, I imagine. Might also allow you like a bit more control with your howitzer as well, instead of just, you know, doing one barrage and just letting it sit there. You might want to do a barrage over here, then oh, there's a fight about to happen over here, so I'll reposition the howitzer, get some smoke going over here, give you something extra to do with the howitzer while it's cooling down off the main barrage. Partisans are getting merged into one slot now, so it's not going to be anti-tank partisans and anti-infantry partisans. You're going to start with some partisans which have Kar 98s, which are slightly worse than Guard Mosins in terms of reload and moving accuracy, but then you upgrade them from there. You either get a Panzerschreck with vehicle detection anti-tank grenades for 60 munitions, or the PPSh upgrade, which gives them Molotovs if you've upgraded them, I believe, frag grenades, PPSHs, and an extra man, 5 men, 45 munitions. The concussive trap has also been changed slightly. Now stops the unit's ability to capture the point as well for 5 seconds. So these are the traps that you can put on a point. It requires you to plant them with the Partisans. Didn't see too much play, you know, kind of pretty mild effect. They're kind of helpful if you could like ambush the unit there, but it was tricky to set up for not a super strong payoff. But now you might want to just plant them to slow people's capping down, as well as that the damage is getting increased from 10 to 20 damage, and the AoE is also getting improved by quite a lot on the far edge. So concussive traps should also be quite a lot stronger now. Having a first look at the Partisans here, 210 manpower to deploy.
Partisans have joined the fight.
Off in the mount. Only 5 pop cap though, so they're pretty cheap. So 45 munis there, 60 there. I want to see the upgrade time on these. Start on the 20. Go. 20 seconds. 20 seconds for the PPSh upgrade. And when you get the 4th model, you obviously have to reinforce back up to 5 when you do that. So interesting. 20 seconds. Just did the stormtroopers, and they only take 15 seconds. So maybe the Partisans could afford to have about 5 seconds and knocked off the anti-infantry personnel package here. Checking the anti-tank package upgrade time here. Starting on the 40. Okay, so that's also 20 seconds. Okay, well, looking at the stormtrooper Panzerschreck, looks like that takes 40 seconds to upgrade, so that is really, really slow. So kind of strange. They've got a pretty fast MP40 upgrade time of 15 seconds, but then the Shrek on them is just, it's like glacial in terms of upgrade pace. That is really, really slow. I started on the 15. 315. So it's 45 seconds. Wow. So I suppose that is one area where the Partisans have a big edge. Much faster upgrade there, Shreks, than the Stormtroopers are. Having a look at the concussive trap, a lot of you guys are probably unfamiliar with this since it's almost no play. 10 munitions available at V1, and the territory point does not have to be connected. You just have to have it in your control, so it has to be capped in your favor. Then you can plant it. I think it has about a 12-second plant time, so not too bad.
You have orders? Partisans, move out.
Now let's see what happens when a squad runs into it. So here we go, got the Grenadiers coming in here, gonna try to capture this point.
Enemy forces are
So it's got
neutralizing
buff
the
damaged now, looks like it took down roughly a quarter of their health. But the disable to their capping did not seem to happen there, right? Get said it's supposed to stop them from capping. We'll have a look at the health table.
Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm stuck on
So it looks like one model got hit for the full 20. And the others got hit somewhere between 10 and 20. So yeah, you can notice the extra damage it does now, but it's not like a monumental amount of damage. I think like a tripwire flare is overall preferable to this in terms of damage, since you pick off one model, you know, it's guaranteed kill, and then they're fighting a model down. Less effective in a fight. And yeah, it seems like the reduction to capping is actually not working at the moment either. So now taking a look at the upgraded PPSh Partisans, they've got 5 PPSHs, so they should be pretty strong here. Going to be up against some STG Fox Grenadiers. Close range. Yeah, pretty handy victory for them right across the board. A little bit under half health remaining generally. Now Partisans charging in on LMG Grenadiers behind heavy cover.
Bravo. Pay attention. Let's go.
These guys don't have URA, so they're a bit more trouble closing distance compared to like PPSh Conscripts. So it looks like they are favoured, not by a huge margin, but that's, you know, pretty promising if they can just charge head on into LMG Grenadiers behind heavy cover and still win. That's still pretty strong overall, and on top of that, you know, you've got a grenade, like a short range grenade that you can throw as well as the Molotovs. So overall, you know, once they upgrade with the PPSH, it's actually pretty damn strong. The PMD-6 light anti-tank mines, these are the ones in the Tank Hunter Tactics Commander. Being renamed to anti-tank fortifications, and now this is going to allow engineers to build tank traps as well as the light AT mines and the bunkers from advanced fortifications. So going to get access to bunkers in Tank Hunter Tactics. I believe this ability also used to allow conscripts to plant these light AT mines. Very rare to see people use them overall though. I believe they're like the same in stats to the rear echelon light AT mines. PTRS conscripts, the command point requirements on this are going down from 2 to 1. I think this is kind of nice because, you know, at 2 command points, I believe you can call in guards, right? And they have the PTRSs like straight away. So PTRS conscripts, you get to 2 command points, then you have to upgrade them as well. So it came in like quite a lot later because of that, which could really hurt you up against like a really fast timed light vehicle. So this will really help you against things like the 221, maybe like a rushed 222 or flame half track. Make the PTRS upgrade a little bit more appealing because actually be able to answer back one of those super early light vehicles. Rapid conscription is getting adjusted. Similar changes to relief infantry. So the squad count that you can possibly get back from it is going down from 2 to 1. But, you know, with the changes to it being 60 seconds previously, it was actually pretty hard to get more than one squad, I found. And, you know, I tried this ability quite a few times over the years after that nerf. The ability now speeds up reinforcement and build time by 50%. Command point requirements are going down from 6 to 5, and the munitions cost is also going down from 120 to 90. So I think overall this does make it quite a lot stronger of an ability. And yeah, if you want to see what the reinforcement and build time changes go, have a look at the relief infantry or the Osseer, because yeah, it's pretty potent, especially on the reinforcement time. Shock troops, the following change put shock troops in line with other Red Army elites. Their pop cap is going up actually from 8 to 9. Interesting. Spy network, this is the ability in Partisans, now only affects the owning player. I think previously when you activated this, other Soviet players on your team could also see the effect, which is kind of OP in those big team modes. So now only player using it will be able to see, and they'll have to, you know, call it out, maybe use some those dreaded pings to communicate where, who has got what. The SVT crates in the Soviet Airborne Commander, the following change is to delay the SVT rifles to put this upgrade's timing in par with other weapon upgrades. So the command point requirement is going up from 1 to 2, kind of similar to G43s, PPSHs, I think, both available at 2 command points as well. And yeah, SVTs at 1 command point, they were very, very, very strong. The ZIS-6 cargo truck has been added to the Soviet faction as their version of the Osseer Opel Blitz supply truck. This unit will allow select Soviet commanders to generate resources over time so long as the truck is protected. So it replaces the Allied supply drop ability, 200 manpower, acts like the Wehrmacht Opel Blitz truck. Unit can improve the resource gain of territory points it's set up on. So I believe it doubles the resources from the point it's set up on, but only for you, the truck's owner, not for your team. So taking a look at the new ZIS-6 supply truck here. 200 manpower, unlocks at 3 command points, and this territory point currently giving me 5 munitions, 3 fuel. Popping this down, I went from 11 to 16, so it's plus 5 munitions, and I went from 7 to 10 fuel. So yeah, doubling my munitions and fuel. Going to try to build a cache on this point now as well. Put a fuel cache down on it. Let's double my fuel now up to 6. but this is still 13. Interesting.
Yes, comrade.
Dropped it only by 3 when I disengaged it.
Orders received.
So it looks like it's not doubling the resources from the fuel cache on the point. And a couple small bug fixes. Bunker upgrade site bonuses no longer stack. And the M15 half-track machine guns should now obey hold fire when active. Finally done, and that series took a tremendous amount of time to produce, close to 40 hours. So if you enjoyed these, I hope you consider coming on board as a Patreon backer.